guys, John back again, coming to you from the cab of my new to me 1988 International S1600 diesel truck. It's got 5-speed manual, 2-speed rear axle, 7.3 IDI naturally aspirated diesel engine. Starts right up when it's warm. I haven't done any cold starts because it hasn't been cold yet. But I just picked this up about a month or so ago. I've been doing a little work on it, but overall it's in excellent condition. I mean, look at the interior is almost what sold me on this truck. It's even got the original line run sheet on it, but you can't read it because it's just falling apart because it's just so old. But anyway, I'll shut it off and we'll jump out and show you the rest of it. Here we go. State-of-the-art air conditioning. I don't know how many times I've talked to people of my generation, and we all talk about how we miss having these the batwing doors, the smokers doors, smokers windows, whatever you want to call them, because we all call them different things on the old cars. Because this, excellent air conditioning. We also miss those the little pull vents on the down by your feet too. But anyway, let's get out. This here, about the only flaw. So, like I said, 1988 International S1600. For the year, it's in real good shape. And this was the best truck that I found since I've been looking for trucks like this for 6 or 7 years now. I would say, 4 or 5 years, but it's, if I think I've been doing something for 4 or 5 years, it means it's more like a decade. But anyway, so the IDI isn't known as a huge powerhouse or having gobs of horsepower. It has tons of torque though, and this will move about whatever load you put in it. And I bought this truck because I wanted a flatbed vehicle. Originally I was going to go with a trailer, but then I thought maybe a truck with a diesel engine would be the way to go. What I'm going to do with this, once I decide if I'm going to build on this flatbed or if I'm going to take the flatbed off and build on the frame, is living quarters, like a little bunkhouse to about here. And I'm going to roof it over and put the overhang back to about here, just a couple feet shy of the end of the bed. That'll give me enough room to keep a couple of motorcycles under cover while we're on the road, and an inclement weather. Also going to add a ramp to the back, like 8 or 10 feet long, and a winch to the bed so I can, potentially load a motorcycle or two all by myself without having any help. Good 20, 24, 36-inch wide ramp, and fairly lightweight, 2,500-pound Harbor Freight winch or any motorcycle right up in there, and no problem. That way you've got a way to travel to fairly remote areas, campgrounds, good base of operations, a vehicle with enough storage and enough capacity to haul as many tools, spare tires, spare parts, whatever else you're going to need in an orderly fashion. And then I'll probably come up with some sort of awning for this side, so you can have a large covered-in area to cook meals and just hang out. So anyway, like I said, this has been something that's been on my mind for a while, and I originally was going to go with the toy hauler concept, but RVs, their construction just isn't something I was interested in. They start falling apart the day you get them, and they're just not built the way I wanted. This was much heavier, much better, much longer lasting, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. But anyway, this is the beast. I have no name for it yet. El Diablo, Little Red Devil, who knows? Who knows? But it's again not a speed demon. You're going to top out at about 60 miles an hour. At least I have anyway, without a load. And it's not as comfortable as a modern vehicle, but it's not uncomfortable. You know, by the time you've done a couple of hundred, 200, 250 miles in this, you're probably ready for a break. You're probably done for the day. But that's okay, because I don't intend to take huge trips where I'm going to do 1,000 miles in a day with it. I'm going to putt around, put some motorcycles in the back, and some gas, and a couple of gallons of diesel, some spare tires, and go putt around for a while. This might be my retirement plan, because my retirement plan initially was to throw a leg over the KZ1000 and just go. I think this is going to be a little bit better solution, because I'll be able to travel anywhere I want to go. Not fast, but very steadily. And my thing is, I don't really want to travel fast. I would like to go some different places and spend some time and have the resources that I want there. I'd have a vehicle to take, as well as capacity to haul anything back I wanted that I picked up along the way, and have my motorcycle there for light runs, trips, you know. But anyway, this is a really good deal on the truck. I still have my eyes open for a similar but not exactly the same kind of truck. But if I don't find that for a few years, that's okay. This will make a really good little project, little workhorse. And I think the first year, I'm just going to have this haul some round bales and some firewood, maybe a few other things, haul some bikes on it. Just to kind of get to know it, see if it's got any little quirks, to see if it's where it's got 15,000 original miles on it, to see if there's any issues that pop up from basically lack of use for the last few decades. But I have done a little work on it already. I've replaced all the brake calipers just because they needed it. They were working okay. This one did lock up on me on the highway. I've replaced on the rears the calipers and the pads, as well as the lines. I did the calipers over here, calipers on the other side, and the line on the other side. I'm also going to do the line on the left here once I get around to it. But the line that's on is working okay now. But I've got it, and I figured, well, it's where it's old rubber, and a truck this size, when you get it moving, particularly under load, you want to make sure you can stop. But with all 4 calipers working now, it's going to stop. It stops pretty well. I haven't put a ton of miles on it yet, but what I'm doing over here, I was just kind of messing with the tank. The only other major thing with this, it's not really major, you just keep an eye on it, is the fuel gauge doesn't work. What I'm going to do is, I've already got a module on the way. I'm going to pull this tank, slide it out, and put a module in there, because I've already checked the wiring with the meter. Wiring is fine, the module's bad, so, which is not unheard of with these trucks. So I replaced the module, get my fuel gauge back, and then I'll probably run it some. I'm wondering, because they say these are 7 to 10 miles a gallon, and that's a 50-gallon tank. So I'm going to have to run this quite a bit, for my purposes anyway, to run that tank down. Once I run the tank down, I'm going to pull the tank out and paint it, because it's not terrible, because I've done a little bit of painting on it, as you can see, but I want to get the bottom of it painted, just because there's a little more rust there that I like. I like to have things neat and clean. I understand that it's not a beauty queen, not going to win any truck shows or anything, but having a good set of, even if it's just flat or semi-gloss black paint on it, keeps it from rusting. What the bed is really good for under this oak tree is collecting acorns. Very regularly, when you're working on this, you hear this plunk or donk. Sometimes it jumps the shit out of you, especially when you're working underneath it and you think the truck is settling. That's always fun. Anyway, pretty happy with the purchase. And like I said, I've been looking for a truck for a few years now, several years actually. And this was the best price on the best truck that I found. You saw the interior, and most of the trucks I went to look at had 10 times the mileage, 10 times the wear, had rust and problems, and this didn't work, that didn't work. And then you look inside the interior, and there's a rat's nest of wires coming out of the broken dash and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't get hurt too bad on the price I paid for this. And I plan on giving it some TLC that normally trucks like this don't get, but I'm hoping that this, not hoping, it's going to happen. There's going to be some good memories made farting around, going fishing, hunting, riding motorcycles in this truck. Maybe even just hauling round bales, because I can easily put 4 on here with just a hair more effort. I could probably put 6 or 8 with some straps. And if nothing else, I'll load this up full of round bales and leave it parked over to the house and use this as a round bale pens dispenser, so I don't have to make runs all the time. But anyway, that's what we've got on this. And it starts, it runs, it drives, goes right along. I'm looking for some tires for the back. They're a little better in mud, because where this is a 2-wheel drive, we're up at camp now. 2-wheel drive, well, this had more water in it the other day. I got stuck right here. And the mistake I made, I was coming from the range, and I stopped right here in this mud hole and downshifted. Shouldn't have done that. Should have just kept my momentum up and going, because I had to rock it back and forth to get it out. But with a little bit better mud tire, that wouldn't have happened. But anyways, it's a 2-wheel drive, but you can still get it some places if you drive savvy and know what you're doing. And kind of grew up doing that. I'm sentimental to the Internationals, because when I was a kid, we had a green International Lodestar, which is the forerunner to this truck. This model had the old Batwing doors on the engine. Real simple, but it was a gas model, not a diesel. It was funny because it had two-speed rear end like this one. When we were kids, because we would always look at that red button and go, oh, I wonder what that does. Is that for the turbo boost? Is that an ejection seat? I wonder what it's for, because all the adults always told us never touch the red button. I'm not even sure if the rear end on that thing worked, because I never got to drive it when I was older, because it was gone by then. So, but anyway, this is going to be the red behemoth. And we're going to do some work on it. We're going to kind of make it a little camp. Who knows? I might end up living in this stupid thing. But I like it. I think the 7.3 IDI is like less engine than I was hoping for. Because I was really, when I started doing research on this, it was spec'd out several different ways. And one of them was with the DT 466, that really got my attention. So I got down here, started looking at the truck, and he said, oh, this is popular. I was like, what's in this? This isn't a 466. He's like, no, this is a V8. And I almost said, okay, fine. That's not really what I wanted, and walked away. But I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I had to do some quick research as I sat and called a couple people who knew, and they're like, yeah, that's not that engine's not a powerhouse, but it's good and reliable. Has a few little quirks. One being the glow plugs, the other being the fuel return system. But once you deal with that, it's pretty well bulletproof, as long as you take care of the coolant system. And I plan on doing all that once I get my manual in. I've ordered the manual and some odd bits, a couple $100 here and there. The manuals aren't cheap, and they're sometimes harder to find than a lot of motorcycle manuals, but I like having a service manual because it tells you everything you need to know. And with the rates charged by, medium and heavy duty truck shops, I can't afford to have this maintenance done by anybody else. I'm gonna have to do it all myself. But that's okay, because like everything I want to be out on the road with, I want to know it pretty well, so when something goes wrong, I can fix it. Like the other day, I took my sister for a spin with this, just downtown, and if you saw the connections on the switch for the red button, the switch for the 2-speed rear end, you can see those aren't covered, because I had to uncover those when I was fixing the rear switch, because that was one thing that did not work. And I haven't soldered those back in place yet. One of them popped loose when we were on the road, and I tried to plug it back in as I was driving, and it sparked and blew a fuse. So I had to stop and replace a fuse. But it's no big deal, because that's something I'd already done. I know exactly what I need to do. In 2 minutes, we were back on the road with high range, back in full effect. So easy to work on, pretty simple. All the parts are chunky. They're robust. I will probably never work this truck hard enough to actually hurt it, but whatever. But throw some good mud and snow tires on the back so I can take it a few more places, get a little bit more traction, and I don't know, I'll experiment with it. Have a shelter in the back or something. Even I can just pitch a tent on the bed too, stay nice and dry. Have a little overhang out here. But the possibilities with this are endless, because I've even considered taking the bed right off it and building up on the rails, because the bed, from the frame of the bed to the surface, is about a foot. That would take about a foot off the height of it, which would make it a little bit easier to load motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna work with it some, see what I like, see what I don't like, and it's not really going to cost me that much to keep, so I got it for a good price. I've done, let's say, 80% of the maintenance that's going to be real heavy to do. I've got to do an oil change. I got to swap radiator fluid, and I'm doing that just for peace of mind, basically, because the oil doesn't look bad. The coolant doesn't look bad, but I want to know that it's correct, so I have, like I said, peace of mind as this thing sits for the winter. So next spring I can break this thing out. I don't know where I'll go. I'll go someplace in it, just camping, just for the hell of it, just for fun. Adventures in the Red International. But anyway, I prattled on enough about it, but I just wanted to show you this truck, because I tried to film this video half a dozen times and ended up stepping on my tongue, filming things 3 different times and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is the new truck, or the new to me truck. And it doesn't set my world on fire, but I got to tell you, I like it. It's got some charm to it. It's got some, it doesn't set the world on fire with power or speed, but it's got it where it counts. I kind of like it. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.